Welcome to Conversations with the Authors.
Welcome back to Conversations with the Authors. I'm your host, Daniel Troop.
I'm Daryl.
I'm Sandra.
And we today are talking about the American Library Association and your part in it. Dear readers, dear listeners, thank you for pressing the play button. And thank you, Alexander Nagarata, for the wonderful intro as always. Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that Santa Claus has an intriguing backstory? What if I told you that the man we know as Nicholas Claus has a story with a background of murder, of mystery, of deceit, of romance, of betrayal, and all those good things we enjoy seeing in the movies and the books? Ladies and gentlemen, the authors of this incredible, highly rated Eric Hoffer Award nominated
Right.
There you go.
novel. Now, you guys were at the American Library Association. This is the largest library association in the world. If you're a book and you want to be in a library, this is where you go. You were there this past Sunday between June 22nd and June 27th of 2023. There were 50,000 people in attendance, all vying for a chance to see your book. There were 200 plus education programs. There were 10 speakers, 700 authors, the most important two, right in front of me, and 550 plus exhibitors.
And we were one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, we enjoyed that.
And it was hot.
It was.
So hot. And not only that, you were signing and giving away free books. You were live streaming from the event, from the TikTok and the Facebook. So tell me, how was the experience?
Oh, I enjoyed it a great deal. It was fun.
What was it like having a face-to-face with some of your fans, with some of these new readers?
That's a good word. I like that. You know, a lot of people really, really excited. I had my both two sons there along with
My favorite.
What is me? Hi.
my son Daryl, who's been on one of the podcasts.
Yes, Daryl
before.
was here. We did the AI podcast, and he was one of our sort of specialists, if you will. He's an AI enthusiast and a PhD in psychology. So we brought him on to give us his opinion.
Helped to guide some of the people over to our
Yes,
booth. There were a lot of booths there.
There
There were.
so many booths. Now, normally McCormick Place, when I'm there, it's filled with people dressed as fictional characters from comic books and movies.
Oh, the Comic-Con, right?
Yes, or you have motorheads who are car enthusiasts, because we've got the auto show going on. Today, instead of the people dressed as sci-fi, we had the people who write the sci-fi. And for me, it was an amazing experience to see all of these people so enthusiastic about what is an incredible book, and they're well within their right to be enthusiastic. And you gave away every book you had.
Right.
Yes.
We had a supply of 40, and of course you wondered, is anybody going to really come over? And people did. It was amazing.
The swiftness by which these books were signed and given away
Was mind-blowing.
and you really kind of had a bit of almost a celebrity moment, in that you had all of these readers, new and old, both taking photos with you, shaking hands, asking questions. How did that feel? What was that like?
It was validating, and it was exhilarating, and it was almost overwhelming.
Oh yeah, I agree. It was we were just glad to see people who were as excited as we were.
Yes.
I had some people that just looked at the cover and they said, "Oh man!" I had one lady. She told me, she said, as soon as I saw the dragon on the front cover of the book, she said, "I knew I wanted it."
Oh yes. And we had now.
There was a librarian from Germany, the country of Germany,
Wow.
and he was buying books for a school with a mandatory reading program.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
And he had heard of our book before, and I have no idea how that happened. But he said, I know your book
Do we have? I think it was also a lady from Norway, right?
from Norway.
Yeah.
I don't.
well, librarian.
I don't know Germany and I don't know Norway that well, but I know Kentucky. There was a
There was
woman
a
from
woman from
Kentucky.
Kentucky. There were several from Texas, some from Louisiana.
And that just goes to show you the reach that the American Library Association has, and thanks to Ewing's Publishing, the booth that you were in, booth 5212, you too have that reach now. You've got your hands out now in all these different countries, and all
Well,
these people have their hands on your book.
And we were absolutely delighted to be able to spread that around too.
And
What was fun was asking people, what did you want to know about Santa Claus when you were little? What's the one question? And they would come up with the question, and I'd say, it's in the book.
right?
in the book, right?
Yeah,
right.
so we were able to
and
we got to
that's
satisfy those answers.
and that's an
those
interesting
questions.
response. How did you, when you're writing the book, how did you really sort of cover your bases in a way in terms
Well-
of deciding on what information do we want to cover with young Nicholas?
I guess that's filling out the character. We wanted to fill out the character and make him real.
Yeah.
A character has a life. He had a life
absolutely.
before the book started, and he has a life after the story ended,
Right.
which sometimes spawns sequels.
Right.
So we made him like a real person. A real person has a background. So
and
you get a lot of your questions answered.
And
that way.
like some of those real people who have real backgrounds, they get real movies made. And I heard a rumor that there were some movie companies that were in attendance with these 50,000, including MGM, Netflix, Disney. So what are the chances that maybe we're working on something for the studios?
Well, I think the chances are fair. I think because some people we don't know who we were talking to.
Right, yeah.
Some had their tags on, some had their tags turned over, and some people were crossing their arms, and some people had bags in their arms. We don't know who those tags identified. But we talked to everybody who came over, and we were pleased to do it. So, and we hope that if we didn't talk to them directly, that perhaps they would too.
Yeah.
And you know me, I talk to them like they're
Oh,
part of
absolutely.
the family and belong in the friendships.
And I think that's sort of the magic of your Nicholas, is that when you read these books, just like how you approach our readers at the ALA and outside, you approach them with familiarity, and your characters have familiarity. When you read the books and you read the stories and you watch these scenarios, and I say watch because it's so descriptive, that they go through, it seems like something that you could be a part of. It feels like a world you can be a part of. These characters feel like you could be friends with these characters. Like they really could. These oddlings could be coming out of the nooks and crannies in your house or in your garden and spreading their wonder and mystery. And it's just incredible. That
And I certainly will note, and people have told me that when they read the book, we put them in that space.
Yes.
They're there. And for a time while you're reading the book, you are there.
And speaking of being in a space, McCormick Place in Chicago is an enormous venue.
It's huge.
And you walk into, the F1 hall where the exhibitors are, and you have this enormous, sprawling landscape of booths and people. What was your first thought upon seeing?
I tell you, it reminded me of another place I went to. When I went to New York, I went to St. Patrick's Cathedral. And I thought to myself, when I saw how big it was, I said, I could actually put a church inside of this church.
Yes.
And it made me think of that because McCormick Place, it is huge.
It is huge.
It is very much. I think we could probably sit the airport in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they certainly have the parking.
If they
for
had
it.
gates, it would be a
Right. Yeah,
I hadn't been in McCormick Place in decades, and I was just overwhelmed at the expanse. Because when I was there, it was a lot smaller.
It was a lot smaller. I remember when it was built. So
And now it's almost a city in itself.
And
it's a magnificent edifice. It is.
yes, absolutely. And I'm so grateful that they hosted this event and that Ewing's Publishing made it possible for you guys to be there and showcase your book, because people deserve to experience this book, because it's not just this random tome that you can read. It is an experience, much like being at the ALA. And to see all these potential readers and these lucky few that were able to get these signed copies is amazing. Now, they had questions for you. And what were some of the standout questions that you got? Now, you mentioned them asking what it was like having Nicholas. What was the question you had as a kid about Santa Claus, about Nicholas the person? Because this book is about Nicholas the man and how he becomes this myth, this man, this legend, Santa Claus.
I think the most common question was, where does Santa Claus come in the book? And I said, he doesn't come in the book. He comes to the end of the book. This is how.
Well, the book itself is how Nicholas becomes Santa Claus. So
Right.
if you can't guess by the title that Nicholas will probably show up at the end somewhere. But this is about that journey,
Right.
that odyssey, that epic, trail.
The one
That he-
of the questions I was asked frequently was, where did the story begin? How old is he? And I said, he's coming into his adulthood. He's becoming, he's experiencing all the things of growing up.
Well, yeah, he was a person. So
Right.
in our story, we fantasize it,
Right.
and we add our take to it. But he starts out like everybody else.
Right, but of course, to be spoiler free, we all experience things growing up and changing, and dealing with, being an adult, and Nicholas experiences that and more. And it's this
Yeah.
it's just it's incredible.
Right.
You don't expect some of these sequences to happen. I mean, the domino effect, sort of, which leads him to his journey is
But isn't that the way life is, though?
Yeah.
It
You know,
is.
experiences happen to us, and it kind of carves out a path for us, and we make decisions that make us turn left and right in that path. But a lot of times they're based on the things that have happened to us. It's
And one of the things that has happened to you is being selected by Ewing's Publishing, being one of their clients, being nominated for the
Eric Hoffer.
award. See how I did that? I can't mess it up if I have you go. The award is called.
With
Eric
Eric Hoffer.
Hoffer.
See that?
We just fill that in.
Can't mess that up. It's like pressing a button. So what's the experience of being with Ewing's Publishing been like for you?
You know what? It's wonderful because they are the first publishing company that I've worked with, that I've queried, that have queried back with people who had read my book.
Oh.
And
Well, you know, people sometimes, other so-called publishers will blow smoke up the chimney,
Yes.
you know, and
Right.
oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, have you read it?
Right.
You know, don't just give me a load of stuff. Read it,
Right.
and then tell me. I know it's good.
And
That I know.
And Ewing's did this. Ewing's Publishing read your manuscript.
yes,
Well, yes, they've read the book.
and they reached out to you, and
And then they knew what we knew,
yes,
that the book was good.
yes, and I think that is the key takeaway, is that you always believed it was good. And they believe it is good, and they believe it is good so much that they are willing to
Invest.
and get you out there. They want people to know this story.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that with the people that you've worked with, and I've heard you speak with them and several times, nearly on a weekly basis, and they are genuine.
Yes.
And your agent is, I would say, 100% trustworthy at this point. You know, and it takes time for me to really believe that, someone is in it for you, and I feel that Ewing's is in it for you.
Right. I had an experience with the first publisher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name them because I'm sure they have their benefits to other people, and
Right. I mean, they did lead
they
you.
did help us. They got our book out and written and published the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't do anything to assist us in
Mm-hmm.
moving forward.
You know, there's a manner of thinking that Ewing has that I wished the other one had, and that's to think big.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think if you think small, you're going to stay small.
Mm-hmm.
If you think big, you're going to get big. And I think that's what we've got here.
Right.
We've got people that are working with us because we're thinking big,
Right.
and they're thinking big. So we match, and that helps.
And you're working.
And the thing that amazes me about the Ewing's company is I speak with our agent, Ernie Page, on sometimes 2-3 times a day, sometimes once a week. But he's available whenever I need to reach out to him.
Right.
Even if he can't talk to me right then and there, he'll get back to me in less than 12 hours.
Yes. This I can testify to. Yeah.
Sure.
But the company in themselves, they have a whole team working behind him. And he'll come to me and he'll say, hey, the team has this idea. They've read this part and they're really enthusiastic about it. What if we proceed with this kind of a project and this kind of a project?
And I think the thing I like about it, to your point, is that they are not telling you what to do. They're working with you
Right.
to create your product.
We're coordinating
to
and
share
we agree
your
on
story.
things.
And you two worked together on this story. And what has this experience been like as a married couple of authors who clearly have their own ways of thinking and creating, to work together to divine such an amazing manuscript? So what was it like working on this book together, creating this novel, not only to share with each other, but to share with the world, and to work together with such an incredible publishing company?
You know, the book turned out to be our baby, and it's kind of like our child in a way, because we have a mixture of thoughts and ideas that come from each of us that have commingled and become a beautiful, cogent story.
Right.
And much like our children are part of us,
Right.
each one of us, so is this book, because our thoughts are melded together into a cohesive story that'll always be there.
But also,
And it was anxiety reducing.
yes,
Working together, because we didn't have. It wasn't all on one person. It was.
Right.
It wasn't. It
No, it-
wasn't all.
Well, yeah, the pressure was off of each one of us and borne by both of us. So we had half the pressure, half the stress.
Yes, and also,
Yeah.
like your child, you had to trust it in the hands of other individuals to take it out into the world and to help it grow. And what was that like for you?
Well, you know, it gives you a feeling of the impending immortality, because that book will always be there. It's kind of like Homer, the Odyssey, and the Iliad, written thousands of years ago, is still here. You know, so Homer will never die.
No.
You know, and we hope, like modern writers, that our story will go on. So, and I think this story is one of those timeless stories that people will tell one another, or view it in the form of a movie for decades, years.
And how does this experience affect how you feel about your next books?
It's encouraging.
I would agree.
Yeah. And you've got some incredible ideas you're working on, and you've got a sequel to Nicholas that you're working on.
We do, and I think with all of my might, I can focus on that. Right now, we're trying to get this baby out there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And once it can stand and toddle on its own and grow, then we can work on its brother or sister, which is the sequel.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's I love how you kept with the metaphor. That was great. That was good.
Once the sequel is in toddler stage and finished, then I can go ahead and start working on the third one, because I need to know how the second one ended before I get to the third one.
If you're interested in finding out how this book ends, feel free to check out our Facebook page at troupebooks.com, TROUPE. You can check out our Instagram, our TikTok, and our other social media pages. You can check out Troupe Books, TROUPE.com, where you can land on the author page and pick up a cover of pick up an issue of the hardcover or the softcover. And I hope to talk to you next time on Conversations with the Authors.